Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the huge Lady Gaga concert that happened over the weekend and the foiled terrorism plot, people paying people to hold their place in line for the Diddy trial, Elizabeth Smart's Kidnapper is back in the news, crazy COVID people, a mom doing the unthinkable to her child, and a new study suggesting that marijuana use during pregnancy is very harmful to a fetus. Like, duh. All this and more on today's episode. Let's get started with the Lady Gaga concert.
So Lady Gaga had this enormous free concert in Rio de Janeiro.
That was like, I saw those pictures on social media. It was outrageous. I can't believe how many people were there.
It was a record-breaking event with 2.5 million people. Apparently, Madonna had done it before and only had about 1.5 million people.
She, like, that's just, like, so impressive. When I saw the video, it just doesn't even look real, and it just kept going and going, and the people. I was like, this is so cool.
It's a really huge accomplishment for her. I mean, that is so many people. I think about all these giant festivals that sometimes reach, like, 100,000 people, and I can't imagine over 2 million people. It is so insane. I can't even believe they have the infrastructure to hold something like that.
I know. It's just like it's so grand and but really good for her, you know?
But of course, we can't have nice things. So after the show, it came out that several people had been planning an attack on the concert, specifically targeting the LGBTQ plus community. This is like so fucked up. The more I was researching into this, it's just so horrible what happened. These people were posing as Lady Gaga fans. They're trying to recruit teenagers online to carry out these attacks with explosives and Molotov cocktails. They were calling it Operation Fake Monster because her fan base is called Little Monsters. And on top of that, so they found these two people that were trying to recruit these teenagers, and their goal was to, quote, gain notoriety on social media. And then a third person was found planning a separate attack where he was planning on doing a satanic ritual, killing a child or a baby during the concert.
Dude, what the fuck is wrong with people?
I don't know.
Side note, what are our fans called? Little Monster? Hers are called Little Monsters.
Well, we don't have a name for our fan base.
Yeah, you guys have to think of something.
So if you guys want to come up with something, because when it was just you, we were jokingly calling people fan jemmies. But
which worked. But now that you're there too, and it's like a new platform, it should be something different.
And we don't want to call you like death heads or something, because I feel like Grateful Dead fans might already be called that, and it's kind of similar to meth heads.
No.
Oh, you guys can come up.
You do have to be like on meth to listen to this show and like enjoy it, but okay.
Every time somebody's like, "What's your podcast about?" I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah. All right. So we get distracted as usual. Okay. So these people were going to use IEDs like a Molotov cocktail. So you're thinking like an IED is terrible. It's the stuff that they use in war all the time when you see these soldiers getting their limbs blown off, especially something like that was used for the Boston Marathon bombing, and you know how devastating that was. So things like that, these homemade explosive devices, and like what, in a pressure cooker or something like that just carry shrapnel and can just cause, not even kill people, but just cause complete destruction to limbs and life-threatening injuries, which is crazy. But then you got this, and they're teenagers, so I don't even know. They're like actually children. And then on top of that, the other person was going to sacrifice a baby or a child because they said that Lady Gaga was a Satanist and he wanted to respond in the same way by killing a child. Like, what? That like this was actually going to happen. Do you know how they figured it out?
I believe they got tipped off, and they were pretty discreet about their handling of the situation because they didn't want to cause mass panic, which I will say was the right move, because one of her fans that had gone to it said she was happy to find out, not happy, but she felt better knowing about it after instead of leading up to it, because she might not have been comfortable going. And I agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't go somewhere if I knew there was a threat.
If the police are 100% confident that they have the people that are responsible for it was because I know that they were in a group that radicalized young people online, of course, promoting hate crimes, self-harm, pedophilia. One of the teenagers actually had child porn on their phone. Like person, this child is a terrible human being. Child porn on your phone, and you're planning on killing a bunch of people. Like you're like, who raised this person? Really, who raised this kid? Okay,
Well,
side
it's
note.
generally about a bunch of people that are lost.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
wouldn't think if they're involved with something
he's a
like
little
this.
lost. He's a gross human being. So regardless, they're on these forums, and I say this all the time, like a good example is the gross room. Like we're an online forum, and we have lots of people there that are all into the same thing, and we talk about it, and it's like a nice space for people to go to and like talk to people with like interests. The problem is that there's similar things that people are committing crimes and talking about really dark stuff like child porn and killing people and just terrible things. And so I guess that's probably how they got caught. And if the police thought that they had all of the people that were the threat under control, maybe that's why they didn't tell Lady Gaga, and they didn't tell any of her people. Because didn't a similar thing happen to with Taylor Swift, that she had to cancel she ended up canceling the show?
Well, she had to cancel a show because of a bomb threat, and a bomb, I believe, actually went off at an Ariana Grande concert. So there is
So,
fear of it, and I mean, to me, if I was a performer and I found out about this beforehand, I would have wanted to cancel the event because
well, and see, this is the messed up part though, because she would have canceled the event, right? And not for her safety, but like you have people that are coming to see you. Like imagine how guilty you would feel and horrible that people were getting hurt when they were there to see you. Like it's just a safety measure all around. If she canceled that, that would have been really bad for the city she was in, the tourism, everybody that was there. I mean, people freaked out about Taylor Swift's concert, and I think that was like how many people, or 40,000 people or something like that for that concert. It was a stadium concert that were
yeah, I mean,
flipping out. Like imagine 2 million people. I mean, if she was having this free concert there, I'm assuming that a lot of people were traveling from out of town to be there to see this concert.
and
So
I don't know how things went down there, but because of the amount of people, do you think everybody was going through a security system to get access to that area?
no.
I would say no.
And like you can't have that many people. If you see all the people that were so close quarters, you can't say something like that, or there would have been a mass chaos. But I'm not sure if they handled it right. I mean, I guess they did handle it right because luckily it all worked out. But I can't imagine that they didn't have a little bit of anxiety as well, because even though you have three people in custody, like there's another three people that are just as evil that aren't even on your radar yet. You know what I mean? So that's and it's unfortunate because now we're getting to the spot in life where events aren't happening anymore because of shit like this, and it's sad. Like there's local events around here that are getting shut down because people are just like acting out of control, like bunch of kids showing up and like starting trouble, and like they're just like, you know what, we're not going to have these days to celebrate our town anymore. And you're like, oh, okay, that's just like where we're at.
Well, you have
And
to find a middle ground mentally where we live in a society where these things happen and it's really shitty, and there's always some fear going on when you leave your house. But I mean, we're going to talk about that late in a story coming up later too. But you have to live in this like state of mind where you understand something like that could happen, but you can't like just be sequestered to your house the rest of your life. So you just need to be very vigilant when you're out and be prepared. And obviously sometimes you can't get out of certain situations, but I think people just need to be aware. We live in a society where everybody's staring at their phone all of the time. Everybody's just so checked out. We need to be aware of our surroundings, and I think that's a big problem we have a lot of these times.
people are so checked out. I just said that to Gabe this weekend. I was like, all cops don't even need to pull people over for speeding anymore. They could literally park on the side of the road and just watch every single person looking in their lap at their phone and pull people over all day long for it. It's like the easiest job. Seriously, like it's so out of control. driving. We'll be driving on the highway going 60 miles an hour, and Gabe's like a total talk about road rage. He's going to be the next one that poops on someone's. But like he goes around someone that's like driving like a total tool, and I look over and I'm like, oh, surprise, they're looking down at their lap on the freaking highway. Like, yeah, I mean, people are just totally engrossed in their phone and not paying attention, which is good for the terrorists, because they just don't have, nobody's watching for them, you know what I mean? But I think everyone listening to this show could say one of their biggest fears is just like going and doing something recreational that didn't need to be done, like going to a concert and then like one of their kids or them dying there. Like it's such a fear that's why people decide to not go to things like that. I mean, because if that does happen, like how do you even live the rest of your life after something like that,
Yeah, but you have to live your life at the same time.
No,
'Cause this can
I know,
happen.
I know.
It happens at the grocery store, or it happens at big events like this. You don't know. It just
Yeah,
it's
and guess what? It'll happen anywhere, because there's just so much potential. Things happen all the time, and you're like 9/11 being one of them. Like, oh, airplanes going into buildings, or like that was never on anybody's radar, right?
no.
At least mine or anybody I know. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, so that's a thing. Now it's like, oh, cars driving in the crowds is a thing. Like there's all these new things that happen, and there'll be new things that happen every year. So you can't ever really be prepared for it.
No, I think the important thing is, like, obviously there's just some situations you can't get out of, but you need to make sure when you're out in public that you're aware of your situations and not staring at your phone. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. So now that I'm preaching this, I'm going to try to practice it as best as I can.
Gabe's actually really good at that. Like every single time we're in a situation that we're around a lot of people, he'll be like, listen, he does it at the Phillies game and stuff all the time. He's like, if there's an emergency, that's where we're going. He says it every single time we're somewhere. Like it's crazy. And when we're on the boardwalk, when we're here or there, like he's always just like, this is the plan in case anything happens. And it's like sucks that you have to think that way, but and like I just pray to God that I'm never in a situation where I have to like see if that plan actually works. But
Yeah.
it's messed up. All right, let's talk about Diddy.
Okay, so right now they're doing jury selection for Diddy's trial, so it's not going to officially start until they pick the jury members, because I can't really say jurors. But when they pick the jury, it'll start, which I was a little surprised at how quick it's starting, but I had brought this point up to my husband, and he was saying that maybe they want to try to not risk other new information coming up, which is why it's so quick. But anyway, it's happening, and there's such high demand to get in the courthouse right now that people are paying people to wait in line for them.
So what, is there only X amount of seats in order to, I mean, like, this is the thing, the jury's not even picked yet, right? So it's not even starting yet. So what are they waiting in line? They're waiting in line until it gets picked?
Well,
I don't
no,
understand.
so every day you could go into the courthouse, but there's no cameras allowed. So I'm assuming most of this is going to be journalists that want to get in and hear the information themselves instead of hearing a reporter, because the only information we're going to get is from reporters that were inside the courthouse. There's no cameras.
But regular people are allowed in there too?
Yeah, I think anybody's allowed in there.
Okay.
So it's going to be a mixture of nosy people and reporters.
Okay, so this is like they're going to go sit in while they're picking the people for the jury.
Yeah, because
Okay.
there's some juicy questions coming up in the jury selection questionnaire, which we'll touch on in a second. But the demand is so high already. I can't imagine how crazy it's going to be when they start having people testify and when it's really underway.
So there's a line wrapped around the block to just go in and hear this, and people are paying people up to $32 an hour to sit in their spot.
But they said the going rate's $25 an hour. I can't believe this exists. It's insane to me. I think
No,
if you
listen,
were...
like I was thinking about like some of our friends that are reporters, and it's like if you want to get this scoop, like I certainly would, I would consider that, really, because if there's only X amount of spots, like you want to make sure you get the spot, and you might not be able to stay, like you have to have people on shift sitting out there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Maybe we should ask Lauren about it, because somebody like her would want to go in there
Yeah,
and get the
that's what I was
scoop
thinking.
herself. But she's a busy person, so it might be worth the money to pay somebody so you could just slip in right at the perfect time, and then you could go about your day. Obviously
I
this seems so
understand.
ridiculous.
See, I
but...
could understand that it makes more sense for a person that's doing it for their job, but like just a regular, like I'm sitting there thinking that this is just like regular people that want to watch, and I'm like, get a life. Like, why do you have so much free time to just sit around and wait to go watch this? You know, but um. So talk about the questionnaire because some of the names are really rando.
Yeah, so all the juror I can't say this word. All the jury members are given a questionnaire, and some of the questions are just like, have they ever been victims of some type of sexual assault or abuse or something. But one of the really weird things is they were given a list of at least 190 people, including the names of celebrities and public figures, and asked to indicate which names they recognize. And some of those names that have come out are Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Mike Myers, and more. And it's unclear how they're tied to the case, but those names are
Mike
coming up.
Myers, like from Saturday Night Live.
I think so.
What? That's so random. Who's Michael B. Jordan?
So Michael B. Jordan's not. He worked on the movie I worked on too. He is, from my experience with him, he was a very nice person, but he is an actor. He was in the Creed movies and a bunch of other stuff.
Is he related to the other Michael Jordan?
I don't think so, but in SAG, you can't have the same name as somebody else. So if Michael Jordan was already registered in the Screen Actors Guild, you have to have some differentiating, like initial or something. So I think Emma
he
Stone
was in Space Jam, so he might be listed in that.
Or, yeah, because I think
who's
even if
Kid
you're in a bunch
Cudi?
of commercials.
Who's Kid Cudi?
Well, Kid Cudi is a musician. Kanye West, we know, is a musician. We talked about him on yesterday's episode. I don't understand why Mike Myers is wrapped into this, but it's not necessarily saying these people are guilty. Like, he might have just been at a party, but I don't know because they haven't revealed how these people are connected to the case yet.
Yeah, I mean Kanye West is like whatever. Like,
but you don't want to see your name in a headline associated with this giant sex
nobody
trafficking
does.
case. Obviously,
it's the same with Epstein. It's just like all these people that ever like sat next to him at a party like are getting involved and that sucks for them because there might genuinely be like no connection. And I just thought it just was such a random list of names. So all right, well, we're going to stay up to date on this case and see like what happens because I'm sure it's going to be juicy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I kind of think the paying somebody to wait in line for you is genius. So
if it's your job.
If it's your job. If you're just like a nosy, lazy person, then I don't think it's worth it. All right, so Wanda Barzee, who was convicted in the early 2000s for kidnapping of Elizabeth Smart, has been arrested after she allegedly visited 2 parks, which she's not allowed to go to because she's a registered sex offender. Why is this woman out of jail?
Out of jail? Like, I don't understand. Like, so when did this happen back in 2002?
Okay, so the kidnapping happened in 2002. So they held her and her husband held Elizabeth Smart captive for 9 months. They kidnapped her from out of her home.
Yes.
He was working on the home, right? Like a contractor or gardener or something.
I don't really remember the details of that part of the case. This is actually something that we should look into because I totally forgot about this. But as soon as this came up today, I was thinking like, I can't even believe that the person that was involved with this even ever saw the light of day again.
Well, that was my first complaint too. So the kidnapping happened between 2000. So they kidnapped her in 2002. She was found in 2003 alive, thank goodness. And in 2010, Wanda was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison, but was released 8 years later. So she only served half of her sentence. She's a registered sex offender because of this. And she's been wandering around parks. Like, I'm sorry.
She would encourage her husband to continuously rape Elizabeth Smart, who they both kidnapped out of her bedroom as a teenager. And this woman is like out and about.
Yes.
She should like have the death penalty along with her husband. This is so I don't know, like I know that there's lots of interviews with this Elizabeth Smart woman and now she's like an advocate for child victims and stuff like that, but what like this had to be so devastating on not only her life but her parents' life. Could you imagine something like that happening and not knowing what happened to your child for 9 months? 9 months. Like And imagine knowing what happened to your child within that 9 months. Like, these
Well,
people are disgusting humans that should not be able to see the light of day.
no, I 100% agree. Like, people want to argue that prison can rehab some people. You
No.
can't rehab kidnapping tendencies. I'm sorry. Like, if you're going to hold a 14-year-old captive for 9 months and have your husband sexually assault her over and over and over again for your sick satisfaction, fuck you. You deserve to die.
Yeah, really, it's really like I don't feel bad for people like this at all. Like, I don't care if she wants to be rehabilitated. Like,
And Elizabeth
you
Smart
ruined
has to
someone's
live
life.
her life knowing this woman is out there, and now, oh, like, shocker, she's been arrested for going into 2 parks where other children are. Why
Yeah.
is this person walking the streets? She's clearly a harm to society. Then her husband, Brian David Mitchell, is serving a life sentence for the kidnapping, also deserves death. What's to say he's not going to get out for no reason?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the death penalty, I guess, that there's always a fear, because at least the death penalty is like a very certain thing that happens to I don't know. We actually did a whole entire external exam with Matt Mangino, who wrote a book called Executioner's Toll. And it's very good, and it's a very good conversation I had with him about the death penalty and just all of these like pros and cons of it and things like that. Um, but overall, like, when I think about this, I just think, for example, like Lacey Peterson and all that stuff, and like how her mom's been going through this hell, and he initially got the death penalty, and now he doesn't, and now they're talking about like retrying him and getting him out of it completely. And like, if he's innocent, then I guess that's why it's good that the death penalty didn't happen for him. But like, if they're able to really prove it, but like, just the whole situation of it is so pointing towards the fact that he did it. So now she might have to live with the fact that like there's even a possibility that this guy might get out. I mean, her life has been ruined by this, and so it's like things like that. And that prison isn't absolute. Like, there's always a way to get out of it, and there's always somebody willing to stand up for somebody to get out of it. And how'd she even get half of her sentence? Because she was good in jail? Like, that's such bullshit.
This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, the Gross Room sale is over, but you could still get in and try it out for a month, and it's only $5.99. And just see all the posts that we're doing, and I guarantee you that you're going to want to be in the Gross Room every day. We do high-profile death dissection every week. Sometimes, like this week, we're doing one on Lori Vallow, and it is going to be over the course of 3 weeks because there's just so much information to go through the case. But we really break down the scene investigation and the court case, but we also look at, of course, my specialty, all of the autopsies and what they saw on each one of the bodies. And in this case, we talk about at least 4 dead people, if not more, associated with the case, which is just crazy and really disturbing. Honestly, the death investigation in America is just kind of blowing my mind right now with this case. We also have a very special video that's going up this week, which is a Gross Room exclusive from one of our members, and it is really crazy. So I'm glad that I am able to post it and that you guys could check that out. And also, this is Wednesday, so we have a new What Is It Wednesday, which is a game that we play every week, and you get to choose out of 4 photos I post which one is fake, and then the other ones you have to guess like what happened, and whoever is close enough with the closest answers wins a prize.
Head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up. So, a couple in Spain was arrested after it was discovered they kept their 3 kids captive in their home since 2021 due to COVID concerns.
This is mind-blowing, right?
Yeah, so
so a neighbor called the cops and was just like, I don't think I've seen these kids going to school in years. Like, what's going on?
which is interesting because we had just been talking about this recently, I guess, with the kids going to school. But like, does this person know for sure they're not homeschooled? And the police were saying at first that there was no immediate red flags, of course, until they went inside of the house.
Well,
But
I think this is an important case to talk about because if especially like I live on a street that our houses are very close together. There's multiple children living on this street, and I kind of like see people coming and going all the time. So whenever you see, like, you get to know people's habits, and whenever you see your neighbors, like something's like not off, it's something should click inside you like, hey, maybe I should call the police. And it doesn't even have to be like you haven't seen the kids. It could be like an older person you haven't seen left their house or whatever for a while. But this, like, it's good that this person had some kind of an instinct to be like, something's up here. I don't know if they didn't see them getting on the school bus, or maybe they have kids that go to the school that are like, we haven't seen these kids. But like, the thing is that even if the kids weren't going to school, like, this person wasn't seeing the kids play outside or anything. Like, something was unusual, which is why they called police.
Yeah, and on top of that, they realized they hadn't seen the family as a whole leave since December 2021. The father would occasionally leave to get the mail or to get groceries, but they called police, and when police got there, the parents let them in the house. Of course, the parents put 3 masks on the children and claimed that they were very sick. The police claimed the kids were not sick at all, but they were really dirty and just not bathed properly. They also discovered that the children slept in cribs, and defaced monsters and dolls were found in their rooms, and the house was littered with trash and filled with lots of medication and masks. So they said the state of the house was basically this like house of horrors. Horrible for these children.
So the kids were 2 8-year-old twins and a 10-year-old. So you have to think when COVID started, the one kid was 5 and the twins were 3. So they were, well, at least the 3-year-olds maybe. I don't even know if you would put a 3-year-old in a crib, but it's a little bizarre that they were still in cribs. Now it's sick. When you look at this whole case though and just think of this, you go back to that time and you're like, people were seriously that affected by this, that it screwed them up so bad. And
I mean, of course they were.
Is this like a thing that they're legitimately fearful, or is this just like, okay, they're an abuse situation? Like, is it an actual abuse situation, or is it that the parents are like psychologically really believe that their kids were going to get hurt? Because some of that shit that was going on in the news, I was like, these people are like, for me, I didn't get scared because I know medicine, but I could imagine being a person that doesn't really understand things and listening to the things they were saying on the news. I'm actually surprised
you have a death counter on the television, so every day you're being faced with how many people are dying from this, even though you've said plenty of times, like, people die every day, it happens. But when you see this, the illness is wiping everybody out, it scares everybody. And then you have the governments telling everybody that they need to be afraid of it. And, you know, there's this like witch hunting against all these people for not doing everything the government says. When have we ever lived in a society where everybody does exactly what the government says? It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But I don't know. I don't know, because even there's some people close in my life that I was just like, all right, guy, you're going a little bit overboard, Jen.
Yeah, but you have to...
if she's listening right now. No, but
you have to understand,
but
though,
like
you have a medical background.
No,
so you know it's not a big deal.
I do understand that, but I'm saying, like,
people don't.
The people in my life that were going a little overboard are like completely fine now. Like,
but are they?
Yeah, they're fine. They go out and they're like doing things with their kids. They might be like a little bit more cautious if they're sick or something like that, but they're fine. They're like this. I'm actually surprised we don't hear about this more often, but I swear I see it around here. Like, I'm telling you, I see people wearing a mask and you're just like, what are you doing right now, dude? Like, it's insane to me. Like, and especially in the car situation is the craziest part of it.
If you're by yourself in your own vehicle, I mean, that is just not how air works.
Well,
so it's
but I genuinely think that people got so scared that they like can't get out of it. And I do understand that, because like I said, like, people don't understand it. And there's people that have already were prone to being what you would call like a germaphobe to begin with, and this just like threw them over the edge kind of. So I mean, I don't know if you could find out about this family, like, were they completely normal before this happened and they got so freaked out, but now it's like their kids are actually being more hurt than they would be if they were in public.
Listen, I think they're using it as an excuse to shield abusing the kids, because if you were just scared they were going to get sick, why are they living in a filthy, like, they could get sick from living in a filthy house and being that dirty. according
Oh
to
yeah,
the
there was
police.
feces all over the house, and
So, yeah, I think the COVID thing is like this blanketed excuse, like we were afraid to send them outside. No, you probably had abusive tendencies before that and you're using it as an excuse. It's not like they went in this house and these children weren't allowed outside, but they were perfectly clean and the house is clean and everything like that. Like, this just seems like a really shitty family that use this as an excuse to abuse their children.
well, so I guess when the cops took the kids out of the house, they were like, go in the garden right now and just wait here. And apparently one of the kids saw a snail and like went crazy and freaked out. So now these kids that have not been out of their house for more than half of their life, right? In
Yeah.
living in this situation are now in a juvenile center because their parents are both in prison. It's so terrible. They're going to need like major rehab to just be able to I mean, they haven't even associated with any people. Now, the interesting thing though is that they did mention in the article that these children weren't malnourished. They were eating, they were being fed. It was like
They weren't malnourished, but they were filthy for
I-
living in a
yeah,
filthy
I
environment.
understand that, but I think it's like a little bit of a different case, and I'm just curious, like what the investigation's going to show. Like, was the mom like doing school with them at home, and I don't know, like
I would
like
say
was
not.
you? Why would you say not though? You don't know, like
Because
people
if
have
you
listen.
loved your children enough to homeschool them, you wouldn't be letting them sleep around demoness dolls and living in rooms with shit all over it.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, if they were truly mental over this, then like they didn't say any of that in the article. It's not like they were starving them and tying them up and all this stuff. Like it
I
just
think-
didn't say any of that. That's like typically what you see in abuse situations.
I just don't buy it. There's plenty of agoraphobic people that don't live in absolute hoarded, filthy mess houses. Like,
oh, there's plenty of people
No,
who do though.
there's plenty of people that do, but it's not every case. So I just call bullshit on this. I think it's ridiculous. All right, so last year, this 6-year-old went missing in South Africa, and now her mother and 2 others have been convicted after they allegedly sold her to a local healer that wanted the child's eyes and skin.
What did they so she said she wanted the child for her eyes and skin. Were they actually going to like cut out her eyes and skin, or did they just think that, you know how in some cultures like they think that people that are born a little bit different have like these magical powers, like we talked about a case once in the gross room of a child that was born with a parasitic twin that had extra limbs, and they were considered to be like some kind of a god, right? Because they were born in this special kind of a way. And could it be like that? Because this kid's like really cute, actually. I hate seeing pictures of kids that get hurt. She's like a beautiful little girl that's got this like really pretty, like light brown skin color with these bright blue eyes. And I could see that she doesn't look like everybody else that lives there. That's what I'm saying. Or like a majority of people. So she might be like a coveted, like special child to some people or whatever in this culture. I don't know. Like,
I mean, we really
or
don't-
like, is it like some legit, like they were going to like cut her eyes and skin out to do some like thing? I don't know. But like the kid's missing still. So why are they calling it a kidnapping? The kid's probably dead. Like, where is she?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't really know the purpose of this, and we don't really know for a fact if this kid went to this quote unquote healer, because a neighbor had testified that the mother said she was potentially considering selling her to the healer and then suggested it had been done and then offered money to people that she talked about it with for their silence. But the child has been missing since February of 2024. They don't know where she is at all. They have questioned this healer, but said there's a total lack of evidence that this person's even involved. So we don't know this for a fact, but according to the mother, that's what she said to a neighbor. But a teacher had also asked about this child, and the mother said she was, quote, on a ship inside a container and they were on the way to West Africa. Would that not trigger like an alarm in your brain?
I don't know. It's funny that we always hear about these stories about neighbors getting interviewed and people saying like the most outrageous shit to people. I just can't
Yeah.
imagine, like, me and my neighbors talk about like plants and like people leaving their abandoned car out front of one of our houses and like stuff like that. Like, we're not talking about, like, I just can't imagine somebody being like, oh hey, I haven't seen your son for a while. Oh yeah, he's like on a ship inside of a container somewhere. You'd be like, okay.
Well, sometimes, we talked about that couple in Utah, I guess, where the guy said like something, made a joke about his wife poisoning him, and then she like actually did and wrote a children's book about
Oh
a
yeah.
dead dad.
We
I
did a high
think
profile death dissection on that too. What I forget what the
I don't remember their names, but I think sometimes people just say really crazy shit and you just assume they're joking because it's so outrageous, and then these things come up later and you're like, "Oh my god, I can't even believe that I'm
well,
part of this."
one of the really cool parts of the gross room, I don't even know if you noticed this, but when we posted the Lori Vallow high profile death dissection yesterday, one of the people in the gross room said that she used to work with Tammy Daybell.
Yeah. I mean,
And
this
it's just
happens
like
a lot.
it happens like in the gross room, like people are like, oh yeah, I went to school with that person or this or that, and you're like, wait a second, what? Like I could talk to somebody that's like close to this case, because that's outrageous to me. Like imagine knowing somebody involved in some of these high profile cases. It's nuts.
Let's move on to this new research that's revealing that using marijuana during pregnancy is linked to many problems. I mean, did we not know this beforehand?
No, because it's natural and there's nothing wrong with weed and it doesn't hurt anybody.
Isn't a lot of medication from plants?
I'm just going to say this out loud right now, that one of the worst things that has ever been done in the history of the United States in the past 20 years, and you could list lots of things, I would say one of the biggest things that we're going to look back and say was the most terrible mistake was legalizing marijuana. I really
Okay,
believe
Karen.
that.
Like,
Now, it's not okay, Karen, because I've been saying this from the beginning, that because the way people's minds work is that people say, oh, if the government says it's safe, then it's not bad. And then you've
That-
noticed since it's been legal that you smell it everywhere. Everyone's using it. It's just like it's been, this study confirms that it's double, pregnant people are using it double now than they were before. All of it is because of the government saying it's okay. So
that's
like,
bullshit, because
it's not.
alcohol and cigarettes are legal to purchase too, and people still
Yeah,
use
moron.
those
Look what
fully knowing the harmful effects of
Yeah,
them.
uh,
So you want to call me a moron? People
uh,
fucking drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes when they're pregnant, fully knowing they've caused problems for decades and decades and decades. So obviously, doing any type
that's
of
my
drug
point.
is
That's
a
my
problem.
point. If they weren't legal, people wouldn't be buying them at the
Yes,
level
they
they
would.
No, they wouldn't. Absolutely not.
Hello,
It-
during Prohibition, everybody was still buying alcohol.
Not on the level that they do now, and it wouldn't be the way it is now. I'm guarantee you. There's a
You're
certain
living in an unrealistic place.
I am
like-
not. I am not. Guess what? Like you're gonna look at this.
And guess
in
what?
50
Most people
years,
that smoke weed don't buy it at a dispensary because it's so expensive, and they still
It
get it the
doesn't-
way they were getting
it
it for the
doesn't
past
matter.
50 years.
the legality of it makes it okay, and that's why you smell it all the time, because people are doing it everywhere now. It just is. It's like, oh, before you'd be like, oh well, I can't smoke walking up the street and I can't smoke in my car because if I get pulled over I'm gonna like lose my license and shit. Now no, you just do it because you're not gonna get in trouble anymore. And that's what the problem is. It's because there's something that when people in America are told that the government says it's okay, and this could go as far as the FDA and drugs and everything else, that it's safe, that there's some kind of thing that's like, it's not that bad. And when you tell people that, marijuana use has skyrocketed since it's been legalized.
Nobody has ever said weed was okay for pregnancy. No
What are you
one.
talking about? People say that it's a plant. People say that it's
Yeah, but most pharmaceuticals and opiates are also plants, so like that's idiotic. Nobody's like out there saying weed's safe for pregnancy. People falsely assume it is, but they're idiots and uneducated about it, and that's why.
It's because people think that it's okay because the government legalizes it. I'm telling you.
If that's what you want to think, fine, but
it,
I
it-
disagree
it is.
with
And
you.
when you watch this in 50 years, you're going to think I'm a genius.
I
So-
don't.
And okay, you don't have to now, but you will when you see it, because it's the same exact thing with the government saying that it's okay to drink alcohol and everything else, and the drinking and driving is out of control, alcoholism's out of control, cigarettes are out of control, all of it's out of control. Anyway, so this new research that was done, so basically like any medical professional that knows anything is saying like, whatever you think about marijuana, like throw it out the window. Whatever studies that have been done over the course of however many years back in the 80s and the 90s, like none of that shit matters anymore because we're dealing with a whole new marijuana with a higher potency and genetically modified. It's just not the same exact drug as it was when other studies were done. So we don't even know the long-term effects of it because we haven't been studying it enough. And so now we've talked about on this program already this year with multiple different things coming out that it increases your risk of stroke by 42%. It increases your risk of a heart attack by 25%. It's been linked to cardiac arrhythmias, myocarditis. People that use it have long-lasting mental disorders, including depression, social anxiety, schizophrenia, self-harm, and death. All of these things that were not a thing until now, right? So now it's all coming out. It's the same exact thing that's going to happen with Ozempic when you think about like this is this thing that's awesome. It's this natural thing. We're going to use it all the time. And now all of a sudden it's like Ozempic's the miracle drug, and then just give it a couple years and that shit's going to be like off the market probably. It's that terrible for you. So, okay, let's go back to this. So, JAMA Pediatrics analyzed 51 different recent studies that have to do with marijuana over 21 million people over the course of all of those studies. So this is a huge study over the course of a lot of people, and it shows that participants of marijuana use during pregnancy was linked to, listen to these staggering statistics, 52% higher risk of preterm delivery before 37 weeks. 75% higher risk of a low birth weight, which is less than 5.5 pounds at delivery. And so only 6 of the studies of those that were studied showed cannabis use and death. And of those studies, they found that there was a 29% higher risk of infant death associated with the use of marijuana during pregnancy. Okay? That is like, these numbers are huge, and big groups of study, 21 million participants.
I see what you're saying, but I don't personally find this information shocking is what I'm getting at. Like, of course, when you do a recreational drug when you're pregnant, it's going to be harmful to your child. Like, obviously.
But it's legal now, so it's not as harmful.
Your argument about the legal, like
okay.
Alcohol is legal and it is harmful to babies. Cigarettes are legal and they're harmful to babies. Weed is legal and it's harmful to babies.
So since 2019, marijuana use has doubled in pregnant women alone, and
it is
more than doubled. It's more than doubled in everyone else. It's exacerbated since it's become legal. So if you don't see the correlation between the legality of it and the increase in use, then like I don't know what to tell you. Okay, because that's the turning point. When you want to say the turning point of something, like, when did school shootings increase? Like, okay, it was the internet. Yeah, there were school shootings before the internet, but when did they get crazier? Because of the internet.
Yeah, but
people
we only
smoked
have
weed
these
prior to the
numbers.
legality, but now when did it start doubling and increasing significantly? Is when it became legal. That's all I'm trying to say.
We also only have these numbers because it's legal and more people are admitting to do it because they can't get in trouble for it anymore. So we don't know if these numbers are accurate. Because
they're
people have been...
Listen, I don't give a shit about any of the numbers, actually, because like I'm a human that goes outside and sees with my own eyes and smells with my own nose. I see what's happening.
Yeah, so but if you asked me 10 years ago if I smoked weed when I was a teenager, I would have said, no, I don't. And I did. Guess what? That fucked up the study. So like, the numbers are high, but they've been high. So like,
no,
we need to
gaslighting me. You're so ridiculous. You actually think that the numbers of marijuana use aren't higher now? Like, do you live in society and go outside?
I just said they're higher. I just said, but they have always been high. It's not like zero people smoked weed.
They have literally never been anywhere near where they're at right now.
Okay, but you're acting like nobody in the world smoked weed until they made it legal.
No, I didn't. I just said that it has significantly increased since it got legal. I said that 5 times.
Let's wrap this up because the bottom line is obviously it's dangerous to smoke or use any marijuana products like it is with any other recreational drug and most pharmaceuticals when you're pregnant. So you need to do your own research and not expect that the government is telling you something is safe. Like, that's idiotic to just believe that at face value because something is legal but it's safe.
It's idiotic, but it's the psychology of people.
Okay.
Just
well,
trust me. Like, I'm telling you right now, if they said tomorrow that heroin was legal, I guarantee you that the numbers would double. I'm telling you right now.
I don't think anybody doing heroin is worried about if it's legal or not. They want to
I'm
be
telling
high.
you though, if the government says that it's considered to be a recreational drug that's safe, more people will start using it.
Okay, sure. But at the end of the day, it's still your responsibility to know what's safe to put in your body and not.
Of course, it's everybody's responsibility, but I'm just putting it out there that that's what I think.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. And if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.